Hello and welcome. So today, guys, I have yet another fragrance house under the spotlight, and this time it is all about the fragrance house Mind Games. If I had to pick a word to describe and define this fragrance house, I'd probably use the word sophisticated. Today, I will be sharing with you details about the brand, their collections, and I will also be giving you a full review of 4 of the fragrances that I have from their latest launch. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel, we love to talk about fragrances, makeup, and fashion. If that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in, well then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave a comment. Let's go. So before we get started, I just wanted to let you all know that this video is not sponsored in any way. The fragrances that I will be sharing with you today were all purchased with my own money. I did not receive PR. I have never received PR from them. And again, this video is not sponsored. So Mind Games is a niche fragrance house where the vision concept is centered around the game of chess. Currently, this fragrance house is under the leadership of Alex Shalbaf, who is their current CEO and founder, and also Mariana Shalbaf, who is their creative director. Being that their concept is centered around the game of chess, you will find that their fragrance names as well as the design of their bottles are all related to the components of the game. A leading thought coming from the words of their CEO is that it takes a lifetime in the game of chess for someone to become a grandmaster. And this is actually quite similar to what it takes for a perfumer to become a master perfumer. Part of their mission is that they want to elevate the art of the game into the art of perfumery. Currently, this fragrance house has 2 collections. The first one and the original one is the Artisan collection. And there you will find fragrances that if you're a fragrance lover, you've probably heard of, such as Checkmate, Blockade, and Grandmaster. The second collection is their most recent, and it is the Soulmate collection. That is the one that we will be focusing on today. The Soulmate collection embodies the strength and unity of the pawns, their collective assuredness, as well as their dedication to upholding each other. All of the Mind Game fragrances are genderless, unisex. Mind Games has several perfumers, but today we're going to focus on just one of them because she is responsible for the 4 fragrances that I will be sharing with you today. The name of this perfumer is Christelle Laprade. Christelle comes with quite a bit of experience, but just to give you some examples of some of her past creations that are part of her portfolio, we can start with Commodity Milk. There's also Blockade and Double Attack from the Artisan collection. Each collection has 2 sets of fragrances. There's the Light collection, which has bottles that look like this. And then there's the Dark, which look like this. The distinction between the light and the dark fragrances in each collection is rooted in the type of notes used for each. So the first fragrance that I want to talk to you about today is Sans VOIR. Sans VOIR is a floral, aquatic, fruity fragrance that has at the center rose. So the star of this fragrance is the rose. There are some aquatic notes which give it like a watery and dewy quality and makes the rose quite transparent. There is also like a touch of saltiness in this fragrance that immediately transports you to like being by the sea. This fragrance, guys, is quite different than any other rose fragrance in my collection. And it's all because of that blend of aquatic notes and rose and woods. There is also a bit of smokiness in this fragrance, courtesy of the note of incense and, of course, the Palo Santo. It is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It is something so different. When I first sprayed this fragrance and I picked it up, it was at Bergdorf's. But the first time I sprayed this fragrance, I didn't even know that it was a rose fragrance. I couldn't figure it out. It is so different. It is such a sophisticated and elevated blend. When you wear this fragrance, it really becomes a conversation piece. I get a good 6 to 7 hours with this fragrance, and at the 2-hour mark is when it becomes a skin scent. I've never oversprayed this fragrance, as there's really no need to do so. And this is not the type of fragrance that you really want to overspray. This fragrance definitely has a good sillage. I wouldn't say that it's moderate. It's a bit more than just moderate, because again, whenever I've worn it, people can definitely smell it on me if I'm in the group, and they always have a conversation to start about it because they can't quite determine what is in the fragrance. Now, this next fragrance is for all of my vanilla lovers, and I am speaking about Queening. Now, this fragrance is designed to empower all current and aspiring queens. Now, isn't that special? But this is truly, guys, a vanilla fragrance. This fragrance is also dedicated to our daily successes and the rewards that they bring. Christelle Laprade really spoke beautifully about this fragrance. She starts by talking about vanilla and how vanilla has been tested and determined to be pleasing to just about everybody. Vanilla is definitely the queen in this fragrance. And what Christelle has done is bring in other notes to emphasize the different facets of vanilla. Oh, this fragrance is so addictive, I have to tell you. So this is a vanilla that is done beautifully. So if you've been watching my channel for some time, you know that I love the note of iris. I have to spray this fragrance. The first note that she uses to bring out the different facets of the vanilla is iris, guys, which you know iris makes fragrances a bit powdery. But the powderiness here is like soft skin powderiness. It is done so beautifully. Then through the journey, you also pick up on that sandalwood. So now the sandalwood brings out a different aspect from vanilla. And now it's all about like those creamy tonalities. It is just an absolute delight. And then, like if it weren't enough, and to top it all off, there's that note of rum. And that rum adds a certain degree of booziness to this fragrance that, at least for me, I never expected. This is another fragrance that I get a solid 6 to 7 hours from. And at the 2-hour mark, it does not become a skin scent. It becomes a scent bubble. And right around, probably around the 5-hour mark is when it's definitely a skin scent. And do I spray at that time? Like, do I bring a little decant and respray? No, not really, guys, because there is something so beautiful in that dry down of this fragrance that it's like, I enjoy this fragrance from beginning to dry down, but at the dry down, I am sniffing myself all day long with this beautiful, exquisite powderiness. Now, if you thought that I was a tad extra when talking about queening, wait until I talk to you about this next one, because this next one is my favorite. And I am talking about LIONORA. Let me start by telling you that this fragrance has been designed to celebrate the allure of grace, beauty, and wisdom. in this fragrance, it's all about the white florals. These are not like those white florals that give you a headache, that drive you crazy, that make a fragrance kind of loud for the first 2 hours. No, this is done masterfully. I cannot use any other word. These white florals, oh, but let's talk about this journey. So this fragrance opens with a very juicy apricot and the passion fruit. Now let me talk about this apricot. So I have other fragrances in my collection that have the note of apricot, but in this fragrance, the apricot is so real, is so juicy. It's like you have an apricot that is fully ripe, you bite into it, and the juices just drip down. Oh my goodness. You taste everything from the skin of the apricot when it's perfectly ripe, all the way down to that center husk. The passion fruit is very distinctively different in fruitiness than the apricot, not just because they're different fruits and they're quite different, but there is like a different acidity when it comes to the apricot and the passion fruit playing with one another in this fragrance. Like if we haven't been driven crazy enough, then there's like a touch of mango. The mango is like shy. He wants to play with the apricot and the passion fruit, but they're not having it. So he just stays in the background being Mr. Mango. Once I'm done with that initial take of all these fruits, then I start to like go into this picking up on florals. And the first thing I pick up, guys, is freesia, followed by, are you ready? Tuberose. Now you guys know I love tuberose. I love white florals, but tuberose is a flower that I absolutely love. But what I pick up in that mid-range is like freesia and tuberose and other white florals, and they all start to come out and play with the fruit. It is such a beautiful, beautiful blend, guys. It is something so different and unique. Much like in queening, the dry down here is such a beautiful experience that even when it's time for me to respray, you know, when I typically would respray, I just don't, because the dry down is that exquisite. I get a good 6 to 7 hours with this one. When it comes to projection and sillage, again, consistent with the others, there is definitely a sillage, but it's not something that is just going to leave a trail forever. No, these fragrances, again, are all about an air of sophistication. So you are going to pass maybe by a group of people, and as you pass closely, they may catch a light sniff of you and not realize that it's you, but you kind of look at them and they're kind of trying to figure out what did they just sniff, because they know they just picked up on something. And it's probably you. If you're in a group, you're going to get that scent bubble around, I would say, the 3-4 hour mark, and then it becomes a skin scent. But if you're in a group, they are definitely going to sniff you and it becomes a conversation piece. Because with this one, you can tell that there are white florals and you can tell that there are fruits, but you can't quite define if it's a floral fragrance or a fruity fragrance or what's going on, because the blend is done that magnificently. Now this next fragrance, guys, is for all of my cherry lovers. This set a new tone for cherry for me, and I am talking about French Defense. The first thing I want you to notice is that this bottle is part of the dark group of the collection. This fragrance opens like with a mouth-watering, dark liquor saturated dark cherry. I just want you to envision that for a minute, because if you get your nose on this, if you love the notes that I shared with you for this fragrance and you get your nose on this fragrance, you are going to pick this up. So if you don't want to pick it up, just don't even listen to what I'm going to say, because this fragrance, I'm telling you, is totally different. Needless to say, the star of this fragrance is black cherry. This is a rich, bold, unapologetic cherry, which for me sets the tone to the feel of this fragrance. Then you have that dark cherry, but then as the journey continues, I pick up on like some patchouli and like some woody notes, and those give this fragrance such an edge. I want you to envision a dark cherry saturated with dark liquor, and then you take some patchouli, not the dirt patchouli, no, like the beautiful woody base patchouli, and then you take some woody notes. You know that that's going to smell so sexy. And then to top it all off, like if we haven't had enough with this journey to just go crazy, then there's the saffron. Yes, did you hear me? Now we are adding saffron. And the saffron, guys, does not take a dominant role. You know, saffron can be a pretty dominant note, but here it just blends beautifully. And you also know that the patchouli can be way out there, not here. You have that patchouli and you have those woody notes, and oh my goodness, you have this cherry, boozy cherry, ever present, dark, strong, intense cherry, always present, playing with all of these notes. So guys, you get my drift. This is a dark cherry. She's already boozy, she's intense, she's living her best life, and then you come and bring in all these other intense notes, but they're all gonna play together really well just to drive you crazy and get you addicted to this fragrance. I get a good 7-8 hours without overspraying. I would never overspray this fragrance. Just spray it and go into that journey, because at the dry down, guys, you are going to be living your best life with that cherry and that booziness and the woody notes and that patchouli coming in. Oh my God, it's just amazing, amazing. But you are going to get about 7 to 8 hours. This definitely has a better sillage than Queening and Leonora and the others. This is the type of fragrance that when I spray it and I pass by a certain area of the house, I definitely leave a trail. Definitely. And this is also one that has a pretty strong projection on my skin for the first hour. At the second hour, it becomes like a moderate projection. And this does not become a skin scent for me until probably hour 6. So this is a really incredible fragrance. And this one is not my favorite just because Leonora just blew my mind and I just cannot get over Leonora. But French Defense is right up there. It's like I can't even tell you enough. You can see the passion that I've expressed with French Defense today. I think it's needless to say what my opinion really is about Mind Games and the Soulmate collection. But in case you're wondering, I really am impressed with the Soulmate collection. I think Mind Games is truly a very unique fragrance house that has come to set a different tone to our conventional fragrances. I tried several of the fragrances from the Artisan collection and I thought that they were good, but none of them really blew my mind away. But when I tried some of the fragrances from the Soulmate collection, I was immediately in love with so many of them, and these 4 that I shared with you today really stood out to me. At the end of the day, I think that these fragrances are very much worth it. They are truly, in my opinion, each of the fragrances that I've shared with you today are truly masterpieces, and I am so happy that I have them in my collection. I hope that I was able to give you all of the information that you need to become familiar with this fragrance house and maybe get your nose on a couple of their fragrances. Get a sample, get a decant, unless you just feel comfortable with blind buying them. But just make sure that at least you understand the journey that I described and the notes involved. These fragrances are not linear, they're quite complex, but again, they are true masterpieces. So we've reached the end. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. Thank you so much for your support and your love. I really appreciate it. And I want to say again, welcome to our Fragrance Lovin' family, to all of my new subscribers, and I will see you in the next video.